Vietnam's textile industry and the shift toward value creation. After decades of relying on cost and production advantages, Vietnam's textile garment industry is undergoing a profound transformation from mass production to value creation. Changes in global supply chain structures, environmental standards, and trade models are compelling the industry to redefine its position in the world value chain. First, momentum from production structure and trade flows. In the first 8 months of 2025, Vietnam's textile and garment export reached $30.8 billion, up 7% year-on-year, despite pressures from tariffs and logistic costs. In the first half alone, exports stood at $21.8 billion, up 10.6%, with a trade surplus of $9.1 billion. Maintaining an average pace of $4 billion per month, the industry is likely to reach $47 to $48 billion for the year, an annual growth of 6% compared to 2024. The United States remains the largest market, accounting for over 40% of total export value, with growth of 17.1% in the first half of the year. Export to the EU increased 40.8%, Japan 12.4%, and China 9.3%. Notably, Vietnam has surpassed China in apparel market share in the US, 20% versus 15%, marking a structural shift in global supply chains that open new growth space. At the same time, the production structure is changing visibly. The localization rate in textile export rose from 36% in 2015 to nearly 48% in 2023. Labor productivity has reached $5,500 per worker per year, a 20% rise compared to 5 years ago. Companies investing in green technology and closed-loop production models report productivity levels 14% higher and average revenues from 15% to 20% greater than the sector's average. However, challenges persist in supply chain dependence. About 59% of raw materials are still imported from China, meaning over half the export value relies on external sources. This dependency constrains Vietnam's ability to benefit from new generation trade agreements, such as CPTPP, requiring yarn origin, and EVFTA, fabric origin rules. While export turnover grows, the net added value remains modest. Each dollar of textile export retains only 48% domestically, the rest absorbed by imported inputs and processing costs. This is still below the 60 to 65% level achieved by countries with complete textile chains such as India and Turkey. Second, new value from green standards and ecological innovation. The upward trend in value addition within Vietnam's textile sector is closely tied to two transformative forces: ecological transition and market standardization. According to Vietnam Textile and Apparel Association, VITAS, by the end of 2023, around 65% of enterprises had implemented at least one model of ecological innovation, up more than 20 percentage points compared to 5 years earlier. Investment in an energy-efficient technology, water reuse, emission reduction, and recycled fiber show playback periods of just 1 to 3 years, an exceptional efficiency for a light industry. Enterprises adopting green production models achieve average labor productivity of $6,300 per worker per year, about $800 higher than industry average. Their gross profit margins rise by 2 to 3 percentage points, while products with environmental certification command 10 to 15% higher prices. As a result, the green manufacturing segment alone contributed roughly 0.3% to Vietnam's GDP growth in 2023. The greening trend is not only market-driven, but also a policy imperative. Starting 2025, the EU Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, CBAM, takes effect, while the US and Japan tighten traceability and labor sustainability requirements. With over 80% of Vietnam's textile export heading to this market, compliance with environmental standards is no longer optional. It is a condition for survival. Industry forecasts suggest that if 80% of domestic textile enterprises adopt ecological innovation by 2030, the sector could cut carbon emissions by 30%, save hundreds of millions of USD in energy costs, and increase export value by 10 to 12%. Investment structure are also shifting strategically. R&D spending now accounts for 0.8% of revenue, still below the global average of 2 to 3%. yet double that of 5 years ago. Projects in recycled fibers, waterless dyeing, bio-based materials, and digitalized supply chain management are emerging as dominant trends. Third, value growth, a new measure of competitiveness. From a macroeconomic perspective, textiles and garments remain a key export sector, contributing 12 to 16% of Vietnam's total export value and employing 2.5 million workers. Yet, the industry's future competitiveness will no longer hinge on export volume, but on how much value stays at home. A 10 percentage point increase in localization could add 4 to 5 billion USD in annual added value, shifting 20% of enterprises from CMT, cut, make, trim, to FOB, free on board, or ODM, original design manufacturing. Models could lift average industry profit margins by 1.5 to 2 percentage points, translating to billions of Vietnamese dong in pre-tax profit each year. By the end of 2025, the sector's domestically generated value, the portion created within Vietnam, is expected to reach 22 to 23 billion USD, accounting for nearly half of total export turnover. If current momentum continues, this could surpass 30 billion USD by 2030. As output growth slows, value growth has become the true engine of Vietnam's textile industry. Technology, clean energy, and supply chain management will gradually replace cheap labor as the foundation of competitiveness. In a global trade landscape increasingly defined by rigorous standards, value addition is not merely a production outcome. It is the ultimate test of integration and resilience. And through that lens, Vietnam's textile industry is reclaiming its rightful place, not as a low-cost workshop, but as a genuine value-creating link in the global supply chain.